The date is August 9th, 2026. Toronto, Canada. SoBe Stadium. The National Bank Open has delivered everything tennis fans could have hoped for: upsets, drama, and the emergence of a new global superstar. But what is about to unfold on the court is something no one could have predicted. On one side stands Alex Eala, the 21-year-old Filipino phenomenon who has taken the tennis world by storm. 7 consecutive wins, a maiden WTA title in Washington, a career-high ranking of number 20, and a fan base so passionate, so vocal, so overwhelming that it has turned SoBe Stadium into a home court for a player representing a nation thousands of miles away. On the other side stands Belinda Bencic, the 29-year-old Swiss veteran, a former world number 4, an Olympic gold medalist, a 10-time WTA champion who won this very tournament in 2015 by defeating Serena Williams herself. Bencic has seen it all. She has played in the biggest stadiums, against the greatest players, in the most high-pressure moments. But she has never faced anything quite like this. The match is a war. 3 grueling sets. 2 hours and 48 minutes of pure, unadulterated tennis. And when it is over, when Eala emerges victorious, something shocking happens. Bencic, in her post-match press conference, delivers a statement that sends shockwaves through the tennis world. She does not congratulate her opponent. She does not acknowledge the incredible atmosphere. Instead, she points fingers. She makes accusations. She questions the very legitimacy of the Eala phenomenon. And the tennis world reacts with fury. This is the story of the match that changed everything. This is the story of the drama after losing. This is the story of Belinda Bencic's shocking statement on Alex Eala and the massive reaction that followed. The 2026 National Bank Open in Toronto has been a tournament of firsts. First-time champions. First-time upsets. And for the first time in the history of the tournament, a player ranked outside the top 5 has sold out center court in 30 minutes flat. That player, of course, is Alex Eala. The 21-year-old Filipina has become the story of the tournament, and indeed, the story of the tennis season. Her rise from number 49 to number 20 in the world has been nothing short of meteoric. She has defeated world number 3 Jessica Pegula. She has conquered Wimbledon's center court against Iga Swiatek. She has won her maiden WTA title in Washington, defeating 5 former Grand Slam finalists along the way. And now, she is in Toronto, riding a 7-match winning streak, looking to add another chapter to her already remarkable story. But waiting for her in the round of 16 is a player who represents everything Eala is trying to become. Belinda Bencic is a seasoned veteran of the WTA Tour, a former world number 4, an Olympic gold medalist from the Tokyo Games in 2021, a 10-time WTA champion, and the 2015 champion of this very tournament, where she took down 4 top 10 players en route, including the legendary Serena Williams. Bencic is also a mother, traveling in Toronto with her 2-year-old daughter Bella. She has navigated the challenges of returning from maternity leave, climbing from number 421 to number 11 in her first full season back on tour. She is a fighter, a competitor, and a champion. And she is not accustomed to being the underdog. But in Toronto, that is exactly what she is. The crowd is not on her side. The energy is not with her. The stadium is packed with thousands of Filipino fans waving flags, chanting Eala's name, and turning SoBe Stadium into what feels like a home match for the Filipina star. The contrast could not be more stark. For Eala, the roar of the crowd has become fuel, something she feeds on, embraces, and draws energy from when the pressure is at its highest. For Bencic, it can be an entirely different story. The Swiss has generally preferred quieter, calmer playing conditions and has shown visible frustration when crowds become too loud or opponent supporters too animated during tense moments. That contrast adds another intriguing layer to Monday's round of 16 showdown. Bencic, the number 12 seed, earned her spot in the 4th round with her own grueling 3-set victory over American Taylor Townsend, winning 6-7, 5, 7-6, 4, 6-4 in a marathon match that lasted 3 hours and 26 minutes. She had also cruised past Sloane Stephens 6-3, 6-1. But those matches were played in relative quiet. Now, she faces a player who has turned every match into a celebration of Filipino pride. As Jessica Pegula, who experienced the Eala atmosphere firsthand in Washington, admitted, it was not fun to play against. Bencic was about to find out why, and the outcome would lead to one of the most controversial moments of the tennis season. August 9th, 2026. SoBi Stadium. The lights come up on center court. 10,077 fans pack the venue. The sea of Philippine flags is everywhere. The noise is deafening, and as Alex Eala walks onto the court, the stadium erupts. It sounds like Manila. It feels like Manila. It is Manila. Eala, seeded number 25, is coming off back-to-back three-set victories over Americans Alicia Parks and Katie McNally. Her match against McNally was particularly grueling, a 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 victory that lasted 2 hours and 39 minutes and included a medical timeout for her right ankle. The injury scare had sent shockwaves through her rapidly growing fan base, but Eala was quick to play down the seriousness of the issue. "I'm okay," she said simply. And now, she is back on court, ready to face her toughest test yet. Bencic, the number 12 seed, is a different kind of opponent. She is a counterpuncher, a player who thrives on absorbing pace and redirecting it with precision. She is one of the best backhands on tour. She is mentally tough, having won 10 career titles and an Olympic gold medal. She has beaten the best players in the world, and she knows exactly what it takes to win in Toronto. The first set is a war. Both players hold serve with relative ease. There are no breaks of serve. The tension is palpable. The crowd is on its feet after every Eala point. Bencic looks visibly frustrated by the noise. She is not used to this. She is not used to playing in an environment where the crowd is so overwhelmingly against her. The set goes to a tiebreak. Eala, riding the energy of the crowd, takes control. She wins the tiebreak 7-5. The stadium explodes. But Bencic is not done. She is a champion. She has been here before. She regroups in the second set, adjusting her game, finding her rhythm. She breaks Eala's serve early and never looks back. The second set goes to Bencic, 6-3. The match is level. The tension is unbearable. The third set is a classic. Both players are exhausted. Both are pushing through pain. Eala's ankle is bothering her. Bencic is struggling with the humidity, but neither is willing to give an inch. The crowd is roaring with every point. The atmosphere is electric. And then, at 5-4, Eala breaks Bencic's serve. She has match point. The stadium holds its breath. Eala hits a forehand winner down the line. The crowd erupts. She has done it. She has defeated the Olympic gold medalist. She has reached the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 event for the second time this year. The final score, 7-6, 5, 3-6, 6-4. The crowd is delirious. Eala falls to her knees, overcome with emotion. She has now won 8 consecutive matches. She is into the quarterfinals, where she will face either Coco Gauff or Elena Korneva. The tennis world is buzzing, but the drama is far from over. In fact, it is just beginning. The match is over. The crowd is still buzzing. Eala has just achieved the biggest win of her young career. But in the press conference room, something else is happening, something that no one expected. Belinda Bencic, the veteran Swiss star, is not happy. She is frustrated. She is angry. And she is about to let the world know exactly how she feels. As she sits down at the press conference table, the media is expecting the usual gracious comments. A congratulations to the opponent. A reflection on what went wrong. A look ahead to the future. But that is not what they get. Bencic is visibly agitated. She speaks with a sharp edge in her voice. She does not congratulate Eala. She does not acknowledge her opponent's incredible run. Instead, she points fingers. She makes accusations. She questions the very legitimacy of the Eala phenomenon. Her words are shocking. She suggests that Eala's success is less about talent and more about the overwhelming crowd support. She implies that the atmosphere made it impossible for her to focus. She complains about the noise, the chants, the flags. She says that tennis is supposed to be a sport of skill, not a popularity contest. She questions whether Eala would have won if the match had been played in neutral conditions. She even goes so far as to suggest that the WTA needs to consider how crowd behavior affects the integrity of the sport. The media is stunned. These are not the words of a gracious loser. These are the words of a player who is struggling to accept defeat. But Bencic does not stop there. She is just getting started. She says that she has been on the tour for more than a decade. She has played in the biggest tournaments in the world. She has faced the best players in history. And she has never experienced anything like this. She says that the atmosphere was not tennis. It was a circus. She says that she felt like she was playing against an entire nation, not just one player. The press conference room is silent. The reporters are unsure how to react. Some are shocked. Some are nodding in agreement. Some are already typing furiously on their phones. And outside the room, the tennis world is about to explode. Bencic's words are being broadcast live. They are being shared on social media. They are being analyzed, debated, and dissected. And the reaction is massive. The moment Bencic's words hit the internet, the tennis world erupts. Social media is flooded with reactions. The hashtag #BencicDrama trends globally within hours. Fans, analysts, and fellow players alike weigh in with their opinions. And the reactions are anything but unified. The Filipino community is furious. They see Bencic's comments as an attack not just on Eala, but on their entire community. They point out that they have every right to support their player. They note that tennis is a global sport and that crowds are part of the game. They argue that Bencic is simply making excuses for her loss. They flood social media with messages of support for Eala, condemning Bencic's words as classless and disrespectful. Many Filipino fans are calling for Bencic to apologize. Some are even calling for the WTA to take disciplinary action. But not everyone is on Eala's side. Some tennis purists agree with Bencic. They argue that the crowd atmosphere in Toronto was excessive. They point to the scenes at the Australian Open earlier in the year, where thousands of fans were turned away from Court 6, and where queues stretched for hundreds of meters. They argue that the Eala phenomenon has created an environment that is unfair to opponents. They suggest that the WTA needs to consider how to manage the Eala effect to ensure that matches are played in fair conditions. They note that Bencic is not the first player to complain about the Eala crowd. Jessica Pegula had previously admitted that it was not fun to play against. Other players weigh in. Some defend Eala, pointing out that she cannot control how many fans show up to support her. They argue that it is not her fault that she has become a global phenomenon. They note that Eala has always been gracious in victory and defeat, and that she does not deserve to have her achievements diminished by complaints about the crowd. Others, however, express sympathy for Bencic. They acknowledge that playing in such a hostile environment can be incredibly difficult. They point to Bencic's history of frustration with crowd noise, including her infamous outburst at the China Open last year, where she snapped at Coco Gauff's player box and told them to shut up. The debate rages on. Is Bencic a sore loser making excuses? Or is she a veteran player raising legitimate concerns about the fairness of the sport? The tennis world is divided. And at the center of it all is Alex Eala, a 21-year-old who never asked for any of this. She just wanted to win. And she did. While Bencic's comments dominate the headlines, Alex Eala is handling the situation with remarkable poise. She does not respond to Bencic's accusations directly. She does not engage in a war of words. Instead, she focuses on what matters most: her game, her fans, and her journey. In her own post-match press conference, Eala is asked about Bencic's comments. She takes a deep breath. She chooses her words carefully, and then she delivers a response that wins over even more fans. She says that she has nothing but respect for Bencic. She acknowledges Bencic's incredible achievements in tennis, including her Olympic gold medal and her 10 WTA titles. She says that she understands that playing in a hostile environment can be difficult. She says that she is grateful for her fans, but that she knows she has to win matches on her own. She says that the crowd can only carry her so far. Once the first ball is struck, the talking has to be done on the court. It is a masterclass in diplomacy. Eala does not take the bait. She does not criticize Bencic. She does not fuel the controversy. Instead, she rises above it. She shows the maturity of a player far beyond her years. She reminds everyone that she is not just a product of her fans. She is a talented tennis player who has worked incredibly hard to get where she is. Eala's response is widely praised. Commentators note that she has handled the situation with far more grace than her more experienced opponent. Fans celebrate her class and composure. And the controversy, while still raging, begins to shift in Eala's favor. She is no longer just the player with the passionate fans. She is also the player with the classy response. She is the player who refuses to be dragged into drama. She is the player who lets her racket do the talking. But the drama is far from over. Bencic's comments have opened a Pandora's box. The debate about crowd behavior, the Eala effect, and the fairness of the sport is only just beginning. And Alex Eala, whether she likes it or not, is at the center of it all. To understand Bencic's reaction, one must look at her history. The Swiss star has a long and well-documented history of frustration with crowd noise. It is not just about Eala. It is not just about Toronto. It is a pattern that has been building for years. During her mid-match battle with Coco Gauff at last year's China Open, Bencic visibly grew frustrated by noise and premature cheering from the American's player box before her serve. She eventually snapped at them to shut up and later complained to the chair umpire. That episode made Monday's atmosphere particularly intriguing. With Filipino supporters expected to arrive with flags, voices, and plenty of emotion, Bencic would have to contend with an environment that Eala appears to relish. In her third-round victory over Taylor Townsend in Toronto, Bencic's frustrations mounted during a changeover in the second set, prompting an animated exchange directed at her player's box, which included her husband and fitness coach Martin Hromkovic. "Can you man up and be loud?" "You." "Yes," said Bencic. After demanding more vocal support from her team, Bencic briefly added another directive. "Shut up," said Bencic. The outburst was caught on camera and quickly went viral. It was a glimpse into the pressure Bencic was feeling and the frustration she was experiencing. Bencic's preference for quieter playing conditions is well known. She has spoken openly about how crowds can affect her focus. She has acknowledged that she sometimes struggles to block out noise. And she has admitted that she finds it difficult to play in environments where the crowd is heavily favoring her opponent. But while her frustration is understandable, her post-match comments crossed a line. By suggesting that the crowd invalidated Eala's victory, she undermined her opponent's achievement. By complaining about the atmosphere rather than acknowledging Eala's performance, she came across as a sore loser. And by questioning the integrity of the sport, she opened herself up to criticism. Bencic is not the first player to complain about the Eala effect. Jessica Pegula had previously admitted that playing against Eala was not fun. But Pegula handled the situation with grace. She acknowledged the atmosphere, but she also acknowledged Eala's talent. Bencic, by contrast, seemed to suggest that Eala's victory was somehow illegitimate. That is why the reaction was so massive. That is why the tennis world was so divided. And that is why the drama after losing became the story of the tournament. To understand the Eala phenomenon, one must understand the Philippines. One must understand what Eala represents to 115 million people spread across the globe. Tennis has never been the dominant sport in the Philippines. Basketball is king. Boxing, thanks to Manny Pacquiao, has a massive following. But tennis? It's always been a niche sport, played primarily by the wealthy elite in exclusive clubs. Then came Alex Eala, a 21-year-old from Quezon City who started playing tennis at age 4, trained at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain, and dreamed of putting her country on the tennis map. When Eala began her run in Toronto, the Philippines erupted. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. congratulated her. The Senate honored her. Millions of Filipinos who had never watched a tennis match before suddenly became experts, staying up past midnight to watch her play, flooding social media with their support, and traveling across the world to fill stadiums wherever she competed. The Filipino diaspora is massive. More than 10 million Filipinos live outside the Philippines, spread across the United States, Canada, the Middle East, and Europe. When Eala plays, they show up. They fill stadiums. They create an atmosphere that few players, regardless of ranking, can replicate. And in Toronto, they have turned Sobeys Stadium into something resembling a home court for Eala. I heard someone in the crowd say they wanted to be Filipino for tonight, Eala said after her win over McNally. It was a telling moment. The Filipina star is no longer simply playing in front of Filipinos. She is gradually turning strangers into believers, and believers into a full-throated cheering section. That, in turn, has become part of Eala's competitive edge. The motivation to come here and play another match. Everything becomes so much more emotional, she said. The emotion is impossible to miss. Every Eala appearance in Toronto has been punctuated by Filipino flags, chants, cheers, and roars that have turned the stadium into something resembling a home court. And while Eala appears to thrive on the racket, her opponents have to find a way to play through it. Bencic could not, and that is why she lashed out. But Bencic's comments missed a crucial point. The crowd is not a sign of weakness in Eala's game. It is a sign of her impact on the sport. She is not just a tennis player. She is a symbol of what is possible when talent meets opportunity, a symbol of a community that has long been overlooked in the world of tennis, a symbol of a new era in the sport, one that is more diverse, more global, and more passionate than ever before. As Eala said after her Wimbledon victory, "It is incredible to have my countrymen cheering me on, knowing that we are all in this together." The Filipino community is not just cheering for Eala. They are cheering for themselves. They are cheering for their culture, their identity, their place in the world. And tennis is better for it. The Eala effect is not a problem to be solved. It is a phenomenon to be celebrated. The drama after losing is over. Bencic has spoken. Eala has responded. The tennis world has reacted. But what does this all mean? What is the lasting impact of this controversy? And what does it say about the future of the sport? First, it says that Alex Eala has arrived. She is no longer just a promising young player. She is a global phenomenon. She has the ability to fill stadiums, sell tickets, and generate headlines. She has the ability to inspire millions of fans around the world. And she has the ability to make even the most experienced players uncomfortable. When a 21-year-old from the Philippines can shake a 29-year-old Olympic gold medalist to her core, something significant is happening. Second, it says that tennis is changing. The sport is becoming more global. It is becoming more diverse. It is becoming more accessible. The traditional powerhouses, the United States, Europe, Australia, are no longer the only places where tennis stars are born. They are coming from everywhere. And that is a good thing. Tennis needs new markets. It needs new fans. It needs new stories. And Alex Eala is the perfect ambassador for that new era. Third, it says that the Eala effect is here to stay. The Filipino community is not going anywhere. They will continue to show up in droves to support their player. They will continue to fill stadiums, wave flags, and chant her name. And opponents will have to find a way to deal with it. They cannot complain their way out of it. They cannot blame the crowd for their losses. They have to find a way to play through the noise. That is what champions do. And if Bencic's comments prove anything, it is that Eala is already a champion in the making. Finally, it says that Alex Eala has a bright future. She has already achieved more than any Filipino tennis player in history. She has won her first WTA title. She has reached the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 event. She has defeated some of the best players in the world. And she has done it all with grace, humility, and poise. She is not just a tennis player. She is a role model. She is an inspiration. She is a champion. The drama after losing to Bencic was a test. It was a test of Eala's character. It was a test of her composure. It was a test of her ability to handle the pressure. And she passed with flying colors. She did not engage in a war of words. She did not sink to Bencic's level. She rose above it. She showed the world that she is not just a talented tennis player. She is a class act. And that is why the tennis world is reacting so positively to her. The controversy will fade. The headlines will change. The debates will move on. But one thing will remain. Alex Eala is the future of tennis. And the future is bright. From cracked courts in Quezon City to the quarterfinals of the National Bank Open. From a 20-minute sellout on Court 6 to a sold-out center court in Toronto. From a young girl with a dream to a global phenomenon that has even Olympic gold medalists talking. Alex Eala's journey has defied every expectation. The WTA advised her to withdraw from Birmingham. She signed a waiver and won. They fined her $50,000. She paid it and moved on. They overlooked her for Eastbourne and Berlin. She kept training, kept fighting, kept winning. They scheduled her on a small court in Melbourne. She filled it in 20 minutes. They put her against an Olympic gold medalist in Toronto. She won. And when the Olympic gold medalist lashed out in defeat, she responded with grace. This is what champions are made of. This is what legends are built on. The tennis world is watching. The fans are believing. And Alex Eala is just getting started. The drama after losing to Bencic was just another chapter in her incredible story. And the next chapter is already being written. This is not the end. This is only the beginning.